Hello， 大家好，欢迎回到外媒看中国，我是安博然。A German national who co-founded a poorly performing Free Hong Kong group and is also, shock horror, involved in Free Tibet activism, has recently succeeded in gaining minor attention after being refused entry to Hong Kong. But it didn't quite work out how he hoped his attempt at sparking drama would. David Meisel, who has never once mentioned the plight of the Palestinian people on Twitter, first attempted to court Western media attention by being refused entry to mainland China, but to his surprise was allowed into the country with no problems. He then flew to Hong Kong where he was rejected entry, ironically proving in the process just how effective one country, two systems really is. Today we'll take a closer look. This is Reports on China. I'm Andy Boreham in Shanghai. Let's get reporting. David Meisel, a German national who has made it his mission to involve himself in groups whose ultimate aim is to balkanize or break China apart, was rejected entry into Hong Kong on the weekend after petitioning his government to sanction China and setting up a poorly performing group called Freedom for Hong Kong. In a push to raise the profile of himself and his group, which currently has only 1,000 followers on Twitter after 2 years of operation, David flew to Beijing and was clearly shocked when he realized how small of a fish he really is and was granted entry into the country. But the show must go on, he thought, so 2 days later he left the mainland and headed to Hong Kong, where he struck anti-China activist gold, being rejected entry. He naturally took the next step in order to grab some much-needed attention, writing about his encounter on Twitter. I was just refused entry to Hong Kong. After 13 sleepless hours under immigration examination in the middle of the night, I was told that I could not enter the city and was eventually allowed to take a plane to Vietnam, where I planned to go only in a couple of days. His attempts at drama in that tweet are quite hilarious, don't you think? 13 sleepless hours? David, there are 24 hours in a day, and most of us would be lucky to get 8 hours of sleep. That leaves 16 hours of awake time. I don't think many people would see being awake for 13 hours as the level of excruciating torture you're trying to make it out to be. But we all appreciate your attempt. He goes on, I was questioned several times and held in a room without any daylight, but neon tubes at the ceiling. My luggage was searched. The police did not provide any reason for the entry refusal. In the end, I was accompanied by plainclothes police officers to the plane to Vietnam. I feel so sad that I cannot go to such a beautiful city as Hong Kong anymore. I hope Hong Kong will be free one day. Neon tubes at the ceiling? LOL. David, they're the same lights used in any office building around the world. Honestly, you guys, David truly needs to take a creative writing course if he wants to succeed at this anti-China activist gig. Hilariously, his dramatic encounter only served to prove what anti-China Free Hong Kong activists hate to admit. One country, two systems is working extremely well. David was allowed into mainland China with no issues and was only denied entry to Hong Kong, which shows that the two governments are working independently of one another. So thank you for highlighting that, David. Something that's even more hilarious, though, is that David used to study in Beijing and dramatically describes leaving there in a recent press release on his Free Tibet platform. Check this out. In 2018, I was able to flee from China's repressive regime to Hong Kong after my expulsion from China, he said. LOL, he fled from China's repressive regime, aka got on a plane and left like everyone else, and then went back there for a little holiday last week. Someone please make it make sense. David's attempt at raising the profile of his little Free Hong Kong group has largely fallen flat, only managing to pick up media mentions from 2 mainstream media outlets, one of which was German state media DW, because of its tragically self-hating activist employee Melissa Chan. So why am I doing a video and giving him attention, you ask? Well, I just thought this story was too funny to ignore. Check this out. For such a gallant human rights defender, David has been suspiciously, and not at all surprisingly, silent over real human rights atrocities, namely the ongoing hideous situation in Gaza, where at least 40,000, many of whom were women and children, have been slaughtered by Israel since October 7. David, who likes to claim he truly cares about the plight of humanity, hasn't once mentioned the words Israel, Gaza, or Palestine. David, you are an absolute fraud. No one believes you really care about humanity. You're just taking the easy road by jumping on the anti-China bandwagon. And even that is not working out well for you. I'd like to remind you, David, that being granted entry into another country or region is a privilege, not a right. Why on earth do you think Hong Kong, which was rattled by years of violence and foreign meddling, and is only just starting to see peace and stability return, would want to let in some supremacist German national whose aim is to incite more violence and instability? Sure, you're a tiny fish with no actual ability to achieve any disruptions, but that is beside the point. In the past year, 30,000 people have been denied entry to your country, Germany, before they were denied entry and eventually sent on a plane out of there. Do you think they were sat in 5-star accommodation with outdoor balconies and warm sunlight? Absolutely not. They, like you, had to wait in an office while their case was being decided, and I doubt they slept well either. Get over yourself, David, and find a new career path while you still can. You are 30 already. Grow up. Anyway, you guys, I've already given this guy way more attention than he deserves. As always, I'd love to hear what you guys think, so do let me know down below. And also don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help the channel. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.